And apparently, I guess, you only get so much time for each one. So this is a continuation of the last panel. Customer services, serving customers with disabilities, physical or disabilities affecting mobility. So where we left off is I'm highlighting the transcript, and we shall let Mark do the talking. And if you missed anything on the previous one, please watch the previous panel or video, part 1. This is part 2.
The common image of someone with a physical disability who uses a wheelchair is a stereotype. For example, physical disabilities can result from arthritis, heart or lung conditions, or amputations. Here are some tips, and there's more in the resources section. People with physical disabilities often have their own ways of doing things, so it's a good idea to ask before you help. Respect your customer's personal space. Don't lean over them or on an assistive device. Don't move items or equipment such as canes or walkers out of the person's reach. If you have permission to move a person in a wheelchair, remember to make sure your customer is ready to be moved and that you describe what you're going to do beforehand. Don't leave the individual in an awkward, dangerous, or undignified position such as facing a wall or in the path of opening doors. In some situations, you can inform your customers of the accessible features in the immediate environment: automatic doors, accessible washrooms, elevators, ramps, etc.
And again, there it is in gray, black and gray. And that is the end of that panel. Next. Serving customers with disabilities, physical or disabilities affecting mobility. So it's continuation of what happened the last time. We shall view the transcript. And take it away, Mark.
Okay, I know you're getting this. Look around you and check for things that may be in the way of someone with limited mobility. It's a good idea to remove them or find alternative ways to serve your customer.
And the next panel is serving customers with disabilities is speech or language impairments. Customers with speech or language impairments. Don't assume that just because a person has this disability, they also have another. Give your customer whatever time they need to get their point across. Ask questions that can be answered yes or no if possible. Don't interrupt or finish your customer's sentences. Wait for them to finish. Highlight it, and we shall highlight transcript. Take it away, Mark.
Some customers may have problems communicating because of their disability. Cerebral palsy, stuttering, hearing loss, or other conditions may make it difficult for the person to pronounce words, or may cause slurring or stuttering. A person with this type of disability may use a communication board or other assistive devices. A few pointers. Don't assume that just because a person has this disability, they also have another. Give your customer whatever time they need to get their point across. If appropriate, offer to move to a more comfortable location. Ask questions that can be answered yes or no, if possible. Don't interrupt or finish your customer's sentences. Give them time to finish.
Next panel is serving customers with disabilities, customers with vision loss. Customers with vision disabilities. 9 out of 10 people who come to CNIB have some degree of vision. Transcript. Highlight and take it away, Mark.
Did you know that few people who are blind have no vision? According to CNIB, 9 out of 10 people who come to see an IV have some degree of vision. 3 million Canadians have difficulty reading conventional text. Vision loss can restrict someone's ability to read signs, locate landmarks, or see hazards. Some customers may use a guide dog or white cane. Others may not. Some customers simply need to view written materials like documents, receipts, menus, brochures, instructions, or labels in large print or with the help of a magnifier.
Next panel, serving customers with disabilities. Customers with vision loss continued, apparently. Serving customers with vision loss. Don't assume the individual can't see you. Identify yourself when you approach your customer and speak directly to him or her. Offer your elbow to guide the person. If they accept, walk slowly, but wait for permission before doing so. Identify landmarks or other details to orient your customer to the environment around them. If you're giving directions or providing any information, be precise and descriptive. For example, if you're approaching a door or an obstacle, say so. Don't leave your customer in the middle of a room. Guide them to a chair or a comfortable location. Don't walk away without saying goodbye. See the resources section of this module for more information on guiding someone with vision loss. And again, resources is here. So we shall view the transcript, and probably Mark will be repeating a lot of the stuff I just said. Seems to be a lot of repetition, but that's okay because that's what they call by rote. Repeat enough times, people get it, at least the parts that they acclimate to. Oh, hang on, wrong one. I wasn't going to press next, got to press play. So Mark, take it away.
Keep in mind, don't assume the individual can't see you. Identify yourself when you approach your customer and speak directly to him or her. Offer your elbow to guide the person. If they accept, walk slowly, but wait for permission before doing so. Identify landmarks or other details to orient your customer to the environment around them. If you're giving directions or providing any information, be precise and descriptive. For example, if you're approaching a door or an obstacle, say so. Don't leave your customer in the middle of a room. Guide them to a chair or a comfortable location. Don't walk away without saying goodbye.
And the next panel. Serving customers with disabilities, customers with service animals. And people need to pay particular attention to this one because we've been getting a lot of trouble going around with our service animal and what actually defines a service animal. Let's see if they cover it here because there's a lot of confusion in this area about this. So serving customers with disabilities, customers with service animals, as you can see, next one on the list. Vision loss, hearing alert animals, to alert an individual to an oncoming seizure. Helping people with autism, mental health disabilities, physical disabilities, and other disabilities. Allowed anywhere customers normally have access. Period. Now, of course, in some situations, there are other things that may come into account, but the accessibility of the person with the disability is primary. And this is another area that needs to have clarification because the government's doing a lot, not necessarily deliberately, but certainly it doesn't matter, again, whether by error, omission, or deliberate. Doesn't matter. The fact that it exists and is restrictive is. So, and also this is supposed to be a mutable process, which is allowed to grow with the complexities that grow with it. But the guiding principle is still the same. What's been happening to me over the last 12 years has nothing to do with accessibility. It has to do with obstruction of justice. 100% totally about that because of the content of what I'm bringing forward. I am a clear and present threat to all the lies they've been telling everybody. Anyway, enough about me. This is about this guide again, and it's interesting. This is exactly what every government worker has to go and do to cover liability, especially with regard to my situation here in Ontario for the last 12 plus years as a person with a disability. So we highlighted the text and we'll let Mark take it away.
You've probably seen someone with vision loss who uses a guide dog. There are other types of service animals who help people with other disabilities as well. Hearing alert animals help people who are deaf, oral deaf, deafened, or hard of hearing. Animals trained to alert an individual to an oncoming seizure. Service animals trained to assist people with autism, mental health disabilities, physical disabilities, and other disabilities. You might recognize service animals when they wear a harness or a sign, or when they're helping someone. Their owner might carry a certificate or a letter from a doctor or nurse that states that the individual requires the use of a service animal because of a disability.
But he doesn't.
You can ask to see such a letter. You might also observe the animal helping someone by opening doors or alerting them to certain sounds. The customer is responsible for the care and supervision of the service animal. Avoid touching, talking to, or making eye contact with the service animal. They are working animals and need to stay focused.
Actually, I'll put it back for so we can get the gray and black if it's better for you. Press pause. Take a look, read it, or just play the transcript over again. So next panel, serving customers with disabilities, customers with support persons. Customers with support persons could be a personal support worker, volunteer, family member, or a friend. Highlight the dialogue or transcript and take it away, Mark.
Some people with disabilities that you encounter will be accompanied by a support person. A support person can be a personal support worker, a volunteer, a family member, or a friend of the person with a disability. A support person might help your customer with a variety of things, from communicating to helping with mobility, personal care, or medical needs. According to the regulation, support persons must be allowed to accompany an individual with a disability to any part of your organization that is open to the public or to third parties. A customer with a disability might not introduce their support person. If you're not sure which person is the customer, you could take your lead from the person using or requesting your goods or services, or simply ask. Once you've determined who your customer is, then speak directly to him or her, not to the support person. It's also good practice to confirm with your client or customer that they want the support person to be present while confidential matters are being discussed.
Okay, as a person with a disability, the only comment I have to say here is this part here. A customer with a disability might not introduce their support person. If you're not sure which person is the customer, you could take your lead from the person using or requesting your goods or services, or simply ask. Once you've determined who your customer is, then speak directly to him or her and not to the support person. And it's also good practice to confirm with your client or customer that they want the support person to be present while confidential matters are being discussed. Okay, so on this matter here, yes, it's okay to talk to, and it should be that you're talking to the person with a disability, but the reason why the support person is there is to also assist with the communication. So when it comes to a point where they deliberately employ their deny, deflect, and obstruct strategy, which is meant to frustrate and anger and annoy, and provoke that they can't just all of us. Matter of fact, first of all, they're not allowed to do that under any of these regulations. But when it happens, the support person is there to be the liaise between the disabled person and the person trying to provide services. So to sit there for 12 years and not talk to my caregiver is not acceptable. And that is also proof that this is a criminal liability issue about wrongdoing of government not living up to their duties under law more than it is about accessibility. They are clouding the issue to say it's accessibility when there is no accessibility to the courts, when there is government wrongdoing. Period. That, and especially that is not interfered with at every single level. The only reason why that's there is because they obviously have something to hide. And they think everybody's stupid. Well, you know, everybody is stupid because they just sit down and shut up and let them keep doing it. Anyway, serving customers with disabilities is the next panel. Personal assistive devices. Assistive devices are part of people's personal space. Respect personal space. Know how to operate any assistive devices your organization provides. And we will highlight the transcript and take it away, Mark.
Let's talk about assistive devices. Most assistive devices used by people with disabilities are personal assistive devices, such as wheelchairs. They belong to the person using them, and they are part of that person's personal space. So, it's generally inappropriate to lean on or reach over them. Also, it wouldn't be good practice to restrict anyone from moving around by holding on to the person's personal assistive device. There are many assistive devices that you won't even notice at first glance, such as a hearing aid, and some aren't used all the time, like a speech amplification device or a white cane.
Next panel, serving customers with disabilities, devices that help people with disabilities access your services, such as Pt2, which is teletypewriter, sends type messages across phone lines. Relay service at 1-800-855-0511. Operator is intermediary, free for local calls, standard long distance charges apply. And again, you can see that this is devices that help people with disabilities access your services. So we shall view this transcript. Highlight the transcript and take it away, Mark.
Let's consider for a moment the assistive devices in your operation that may help with the provision of goods or services to customers with disabilities. The standard says that you must be trained on how to use them. Ideally, you should have instruction manuals handy, perhaps a summary instruction sheet. One of the more common assistive devices is a TTY line. TTY stands for teletypewriter, a type of telephone that allows callers to send typed messages to each other across phone lines. TTY users can directly call other TTY numbers, or they can connect with a relay service. A standard phone user can also place a call to a TTY user through the relay operator. You give the operator your name, the name of the person you're calling, and the number you wish to reach. Using the relay service locally is free. For long distance, any standard long distance charges would apply. A handy how-to for both TTY and relay system calls is provided in the resources section.
And again, resources section is at the end over here. The tab at the top. You can see resources here. Next panel. Serving customers with disabilities, devices that help people with disabilities access your services. Continued. Other assistive devices such as keyboard, pen and paper, pointing device, information in braille, automatic door opener, hearing and amplification devices. highlight the transcript and take it away, Mark.
Examples of other assistive devices that can help you serve your customers would be alternative keyboards for people who have difficulty with conventional ones. Or you might have software that enables people with disabilities to communicate with you using a computer. Elevators, escalators, and automatic door openers are assistive devices. Under the standard, you must provide notification when these services are temporarily not available.
Next panel, which is serving customers with disabilities if there are difficulties accessing your services, which is the final module of this section. Where it states, if there are difficulties accessing your services, be flexible. Ask, may I help you? Solicit suggestions. Offer to communicate via pen and paper. Retrieve out of reach products. Confirm that needs are met. Highlight the transcript. We will highlight it and take it away, Mark.
Sometimes your customers will have difficulty accessing your services. Most customers have specific needs or preferences. Being positive, flexible, and open to suggestions will help to create a good customer experience. If you notice that your customer is having difficulty accessing your services, a good starting point is to ask how you can best help them. Often, there are simple solutions. For example, your customer is deaf and doesn't have a sign language interpreter. You could ask him in writing if using a pen and paper would be a good way to serve him or her. Remember, if you're discussing confidential information, offer to return the notes to the customer or to destroy them. Perhaps your customer can't reach some of the products in your shop because the displays and counters are too high. You could offer to bring the products to him or her. If the menu in your restaurant is unreadable to someone with vision loss, you could offer to read the menu aloud. Be prepared to help with doors if your business doesn't have automatic door openers.
And the next panel. Summary and review. Summary. Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. Customer service standard, deadlines for compliance, what's required to comply. So this is summary. Specific customer service requirements. Interacting with people who have service animals, support persons, assistive devices. What to do if a customer with a disability is having difficulty accessing your services. There's the transcript highlighted, and take it away,
It's
Mark.
time to pull all this information and learning together. In the last half hour or so, you've learned about the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005 and the vision behind it for making Ontario accessible by 2025. The customer service standard, deadlines for compliance, and what's required to comply. The standard's specific customer service requirements. Tips on interacting with people with various disabilities. Interacting with people who have service animals, support persons, assistive devices, and what to do if a customer with a disability is having difficulty accessing your services. If there are any areas that you need to repeat, take the time now to review and download and print any material for future reference. Take the time to ask yourself, what have I learned about serving customers with disabilities? What will I do differently from now on?
And we will, there's a gray and black. And next panel. Summary review questions. Taking this quiz will help you review the material and discover how much you have learned and retained. 1. When you are dealing with a customer with disability and are unsure if they need help, you should go ahead and help them. If they don't like it, they'll say so. Ignore them until you have time for them. Serve the easiest customers first. Always serve your customers with disabilities away from other customers. Wait and see if they are really customers. Maybe they'll change their minds and go someplace else. Or ask, may I help you? So that's a lot of options. I think I'm just going to try ask, may I help you? And let's see. Curriculum says correct. So here we'll highlight, there's the transcript. We will highlight it and we will let Mark take over.
Taking this quiz will help you review the material and discover how much you've learned and retained. When you are dealing with a customer with a disability and you're unsure if they need help, you should A. Go ahead and help them. If they don't like it, they'll say so. B. Ignore them until you have time for them. Serve the easiest customers first. C. Always serve your customers with disabilities away from other customers. D. Wait and see if they really are customers. Maybe they'll change their minds and go someplace else. Or E. Ask, may I help you?
Next panel. Summary and review questions. Answer E is correct. Asking open-ended questions like may I help you or how may I help you invites individuals to work with you on how you can best serve them. And let's hear Mark say that.
E is correct. Asking open-ended questions like may I help you or how may I help you invites individuals to work with you on how you can best serve them.
Next panel. Summary and review questions number 2. Which of the following statements is always true? Older people are all hard of hearing. Avoid touching a service animal without permission. Support people or paid employees of customers with disabilities. People who are blind cannot see anything. So I'm going to put 2, avoid touching a service animal without permission. Submit. And look at that, curriculum.org says correct. And of course, here's the transcript. And Mark, take it away.
Which of the following statements is always true? A. Older people are all hard of hearing. B. Avoid touching a service animal without permission. C. Support people are paid employees of customers with disabilities. Or D. People who are blind cannot see anything.
Okay, so I just had to pause temporarily, so I hope I'm in the right spot. So this is the transcript, and let's listen to Mark.
Which of the following statements is always true? A. Older people are all hard of hearing. B. Avoid touching a service animal without permission. C. Support people are paid employees of customers with disabilities. Or D. People who are blind cannot see anything.
Next panel. Answer B is correct. Remember to never touch or address the service animal. They're working. And of course, Mark gets his 2 cents.
B is correct. Remember to never touch or address a service animal. They're working.
That's review questions. Next panel. Summary and review questions. Number 3. Which statement about customers with disabilities is true? Their disability might affect how they interact with you, and it might not. They all use assistive devices like a wheelchair or hearing aid. Their disability affects them with the same severity at all times. All people with the same disability are affected in the same way. So my answer for this is 1. Their disability might affect how they interact with you, and it might not. Submit. And curriculum.org says correct. That was a real hard one. And of course, here we go, transcript. And Mark gets his turn.
Which statement about customers with disabilities is true? A. Their disability might affect how they interact with you, and it might not. B. They all use assistive devices like a wheelchair or a hearing aid. C. Their disability affects them with the same severity at all times. Or D. All people with the same disability are affected in the same way.
And let's let Mark answer this one. Just save an extra step.
A is correct. Disabilities vary from person to person. Sometimes the symptoms come and go. And remember, you might not know your customer has a disability.
Summary review question number 4. If you need to communicate by telephone with a customer who is deaf, orally deaf, deafened, or hard of hearing, you can use the relay service. The number for the relay service is 911 411 1-800-855-0511, a number that has a 416 area code. And of course, the answer is 1-800-855-0511, which curriculum.org says is correct. And of course, here's Mark's version.
If you need to communicate by telephone with a customer who is deaf, oral deaf, deafened, or hard of hearing, you can use the relay service. The number for the relay service is A. 911, B. 411, C. 1-800-855-0511, or D. a number that has a 416 area code.
And of course, this time I'll let Mark have the pleasure.
C is correct. There is no charge for this service when making local calls. For long-distance calls, standard charges would be applied to the number you're using.
Serving customers with disabilities, physical or disabilities affecting mobility. Summary and review question number 5. True or false? Canada's population is aging, so the number of people with disabilities is likely to increase in the next 20 years. I would say true. And curriculum.org says it's true. What does Mark say? It's a really tough one. I don't know if Mark's going to be cooperative with this one, but you never know.
True or false? Canada's population is aging, so the number of people with disabilities is likely to increase in the next 20 years.
And of course, Mark has the answer for us.
True.
Thank you, Mark. Next. Summary and review conclusion. And as you can see, conclusion. What have I learned about serving customers with disabilities? What will I do differently from now on? Enjoy your day. Is that what you're going to do from now on? Enjoy your day? I certainly hope so. Maybe people with disabilities can enjoy their day too. Okay, so here's the transcript highlighted, and Mark, here's what Mark has to say about it.
Thank you for letting me share this information with you. Enjoy your day. So
the highlighted area of the transcript, which Mark didn't read, If there are any areas that you need to repeat, take the time now to review and download and print any material for future reference. Take the time to ask yourself, what have I learned about serving customers with disabilities? What will I do differently from now on? Thank you for letting me share this information with you. Enjoy your day. So he got the last line in there, but I guess the rest didn't count. There's some of that incomplete information again. So here's the content for decision maker section, and I will do that separately on a separate panel or video in a continuation of the series in part 3. As this is long enough. So, content for decision makers, additional section for the decision makers, such as owners, managers, board members. There's a link to www.e-laws.gov.on.ca and www.accesson.ca. Topics to cover: policies, practices, and procedures, service animals, support persons, notices on service disruptions, alternate formats for materials and publications, and documentation. And that'll be started with the next module. So thank you for your patience, and I hope this is being informative. Again, it's for educational purposes and for critiquing and letting people know this is the government's rollout plan for why there's so much confusion, I guess. Again, whether deliberate by error or omission does not matter. The fact that this situation exists and needs to be adjusted does. So I hope you'll join me at the next video presentation, which is part number 3. This is Chris Bacon, the brain injured guy, saying thank you for your patience and hope to see you at part 3.